guys? It's Phil the MMA Dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 38, here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing today, man?
Doing excellent, man. Happy to be back here talking fights with you.
Absolutely. We've got a lot on tap for today, folks. First, we're going to do a quick UFC 242 recap. What an epic pay-per-view that was. After that, we're going to dive into a very fast Bellator 226 recap. After that, moving on to a UFC Vancouver preview with our picks. And then finally, my favorite section, listener questions and more. So, Fight Geek, let me start off the episode with this question for you. This is from one of our favorite listeners, one of my favorite listeners, Jalen Ware. And I just thought it was such a great question, and I'm going to start off the show with it. He said, if you could match Khabib up with any lightweight fighter in MMA history in their prime, past or present, who would give him the toughest fight? Go.
Yeah, it's so hard to say. I hate to even bring it up, but the obvious answer would be like a prime BJ Penn.
Okay.
Because of his boxing and his defensive jiu-jitsu and his ground game off his back. But that's really the only person who comes to mind that would pose any threats. And I don't even know if that is a big threat at this point. What about you?
Okay, so it's very interesting because I thought you were going to possibly name Benson Henderson. I saw a lot of people saying Benson Henderson, he's got a mean guillotine, and my answer to that is no, just no. That would never happen, even in Benson Henderson's prime. Here's my honest answer. Ready? We're very lucky because hopefully we're going to get to see that fight because the hardest opponent for Khabib at lightweight is Tony Ferguson.
Well, I agree. I think that as well,
But past or present, I'm saying even more than prime BJ.
Yeah, I'm trying to be clever with it, but yeah, I obviously think Tony is the biggest challenger to Khabib. So,
yep.
Tony or a prime BJ Penn. I think the list is very short of people who are going to beat a prime Khabib. I'm not sure if it's even possible. So,
yep.
Tough question. Thanks for the question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jalen. Okay, so let's talk about that main event fight for UFC 242. Dustin Poirier via rear naked choke at 2 minutes and 6 seconds of round number 3. What were your thoughts? Because I have some thoughts on the fight, some serious thoughts, but I want to hear first from you. What are your thoughts on the fight, on Khabib's performance, and on Dustin's performance as well? And finally, was this Khabib's best performance? Many people were saying that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say it was his best performance. To me, he did just about everything he wanted to do. I obviously know he got clipped in the second round for a second, which he gets clipped in a lot of his fights, just momentarily and then regroups. So, that wasn't all that out of the ordinary. He got in the guillotine momentarily, but, made it through that. So I thought he looked amazing. Yes, I would say this is probably his best performance considering it was against a prime Poirier and the way he had looked. I think this was a focused, in shape, disciplined Khabib, and he showed that every step of the way. Did what he wanted to do.
Yep, absolutely. Here were my initial thoughts. I remember going to sleep early on Friday night to prepare for Saturday, and I was lying in bed and I couldn't go to sleep because there was so much hype, especially from MMA Twitter, so many people picking Dustin, and I just thought to myself, you know what? Dustin's going to give him a really hard time. I believe this. I am very concerned because I had money on Khabib. I'll come out and say that. So I had to root against Dustin for that reason. I ended up feeling pretty bad about it at the end of the night. But I just felt a little underwhelmed with Dustin's performance. Once things started, that first round I thought was a 10-8 round for Khabib. Obviously, Dustin had his moments in the second, right? He did clip Khabib. He did get that That guillotine, although I do question just how tight that was. I know
Well,
everyone.
so do I. Also, with how hot it was and how much they were sweating, I always thought that, being able to lock it up with that level of sweat, even in the second round, those guys had to be pouring sweat in that arena, which I
Yeah.
heard up to 120, maybe 120 plus. That just sounds insane.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what did you think of Dustin's performance? Were you underwhelmed? Did he exceed your expectations, or something
Well,
in the middle?
I picked him to go to the distance, I believe.
Yes, you did.
So I think he underperformed based on my predictions. But then again, he's on the road. He's in 120-degree weather, and he's facing one of the most dominant fighters to ever walk on the planet. So it's hard for me to sit here and criticize Dustin Poirier, because whether it's the third round, the fourth round, or a unanimous 50-43 decision, Khabib does what he does, and no one has had an answer for it yet. So, judging how good or bad Dustin did is kind of irrelevant to me. But yes, I think he underperformed based on my prediction, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you. I think I predicted a fourth round submission win for Khabib. Obviously, it was third, but I did see it getting a little bit more competitive than the fight ended up
I
being.
thought it was interesting that Dustin tried that switch twice from the bottom and got about 80% of the way there. And you just saw how dominant Khabib is in those positions, that even when Dustin, who's an incredibly powerful guy, was doing that switch, it looked like he was executing it almost perfectly, and then he just could not rotate it and get out of trouble. And Khabib is so dominant on top. It's unbelievable to watch.
Absolutely, totally agree. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the aftermath of the fight. I thought it was pure class from both fighters to exchange the T-shirts. Watching Dustin's post-fight press conference was so heartbreaking. I mean, I see why people love him. He's such a great guy, and he's tough.
Very easy guy to root for
Very
sure.
easy. He's in tears. You could tell he was devastated. He's talking about his charity.
Yeah.
Khabib's gonna help and donate to the charity. Dana's gonna match it, and I just felt. I mean, it was almost unbearable watching that. Nothing but respect for Dustin.
Yeah, but you know what? Why you love a guy like that is because he's not afraid to be real with us. He's not afraid to show us how bad he wanted it. We see some guys, put on facades and all that, but that's why we love this sport, because of the grittiness of the humans involved, and the will, and kind of the character, and that's what really showed there. It was awesome.
Yeah, and we're about to move on from the fight. Last question I've got for you is, I don't know if you saw on social media, I'm sure you did, that Dustin called out Conor McGregor. He said it seems time for the rematch. I personally couldn't agree more. That seems like the perfect fight. And
The perfect fight for sure. I don't know if that. I mean,
will Conor take it? Will Conor
I
take it?
don't believe Conor will take that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I think
interesting. I
Conor's
mean,
more likely to fight the winner of Cowboy versus Gaethje. Which, either way, if Conor fights any of those three, I would love to see that.
do you think that Conor likes his chances over the Gaethje Cowboy winner more than a Poirier rematch?
I think Conor would like his chances over Cowboy, Dustin, then Justin, in that order.
Very interesting. I'll go out and say something kind of controversial right now. I think all three beat Conor today.
I think that is somewhat controversial, but I can make a case for all three of those guys beating Conor as well, which makes them incredibly interesting fights that I will hope we get to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are we ready to move on from the main event?
Yeah, let's keep it moving.
Okay, so the co-main event was amazing. The fact that it did not get fight of the night, I believe there was no fight of the night, is insane.
Yes, just 4 performance bonuses.
Yeah, and none to Felder or Edson Barboza, right? Or did Felder get one? Maybe Felder got one.
No, it was Azatar, Khabib. Who else was it? I'm not gonna say the names.
Yeah.
The guy who got
Oh,
the
it might have
right
been Blades.
the,
Blades? I don't know.
the guy who hit the right hook knockout of.
Muslim Salikov.
Yeah, he had a big right hook knockout. He got a performance bonus, and we'll We'll struggle through these.
Yeah.
Oh, Islam Makhachev might have gotten one. No.
Ooh, I hope not.
No, I don't think that's the other one. But
Yeah. So, okay, let me ask you this. Paul Felder versus Edson Barboza 2. How did you score that fight?
this is a tough one to score. But I did score it 29-28. Felder, second and third rounds.
Whoa, you did. Okay.
Yes.
I scored that for
There's
Barboza.
no way Barboza won that third round.
No way.
People were giving Barboza the third round on
No,
Twitter,
no.
and I thought that was insanity.
No way he won the third.
Barboza clearly won the first round.
And the
Felder
second.
clearly won the third round. I think the second round's a little more debatable because Felder was moving forward the majority of the time. I think he was wearing more damage, but that doesn't mean he was necessarily landing the less damaging shots. I thought that Barboza was, getting a little floppy in there. His legs were a little wobbly a couple times.
Well, in the third.
Yeah, I only saw the fight once, so in real time, I'm just telling you I scored it 29-28 Felder. But I can see people making a case for Barboza because Felder wore a ton of damage in that fight. Interesting fight.
Okay, very fair. We're going to move on because there's actually a great Paul Felder question, but that's for listener questions. Okay, we're not going to go through the whole card, but I do want to touch on Islam Makhachev defeating Davi Ramos via unanimous decision. A lot of people were giving me crap on Twitter because I was saying that essentially, Khabib's teammates vary from mediocre to good, but none of them are champ material, and none of them will get close to Khabib's heights. It is Khabib that is special, not necessarily this style from Dagestan and from Chechnya. And I was underwhelmed with Islam's performance. What did you think of it?
I think Davi Ramos?
It's Ramos. Yeah, it might be Ramos.
He's a dangerous guy. So that was kind of a trap fight for Islam. So especially considering Makhachev was over, as kind of a featured fighter in that region. So they're trying to give him a matchup, and then he gets a super dangerous guy like that. So it wasn't the most exciting fight in the world, but I think Makhachev is clearly the second best fighter of that group, right?
Yeah. No doubt.
I think he clearly has top 15 potential. I agree. I think until his striking gets a little better.
Islam's 14.
Well, you're saying you don't think he'll break through to Khabib's heights, and Khabib's arguably one of the most famous fighters of all time. So that's an unfair comparison.
Let me reword that. I do not believe that Islam will ever become champ.
I don't believe he will either.
Okay, I'll go further. I'll go further. He'll never fight for a title.
Anthony Hernandez or Paul Felder will ever become champs either, but they're still really solid fighters, really good fighters.
Hey, look, Felder's not as far away as people think anymore.
You think Felder can hold the 155-pound belt someday?
Absolutely not. Okay. All right, moving on. Heavyweight fight. Curtis Blaydes defeats Shamil Abdurakhimov.
Moral of the story, you do not want Curtis Blaydes on top of you.
Definitely not. I was extremely impressed, frankly, with Curtis Blaydes because I thought this was going to be a really tough fight in enemy territory for Blaydes, and he made it look easy. I mean, he really did.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that tough. Curtis Blaydes, like I said last time, is young, has had some mixed results, has all the potential in the world at heavyweight. He's kind of like a forgotten man because he's had mixed results. But what is he, 27?
Yeah, I mean, he's extremely young. It's something like that. He's in his 20s.
He probably has 10 years of his prime left in the heavyweight division. He'll outlast most of these guys. So, yeah, super high on Blaydes. And like I said, when that guy gets on top of you and starts raining down elbows, all kinds of damage happens.
Yeah, the only reason I feel a little worried for Blaydes and feel a little sorry for him, frankly, is because he's down 0-2 to Ngannou. So if Ngannou gets that belt, Blaydes is in a bad position.
Yeah, well, both of those have a fluky nature to them. So if he went on like a 6-fight winning streak or 5-fight winning streak, he'd be undeniable. The first fight was more of an eye poke, it looked like. or not, maybe not an eye poke, but the fight was stopped based on his eye, not because he was knocked out, right?
I know. Was it his eye? I know it was stopped from bleeding.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. So
was it the eye?
either way, there's a couple, and then the second one again, quick flash knockout. So we could sell that fight again if Blades is dominant enough.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on to the last fight of the main card, and we're gonna go through the rest, the prelims a lot faster. But Carlos Diego Ferreira defeats Mirbag Taisimov via unanimous decision, and I thought this was a really interesting fight because Taisimov clearly won that first round, and then Ferreira just broke him like a horse.
He basically just put the cardio and the pace on him. I think this is one of those fights where that heat came into play, and Ferreira responded much better. He had much better cardio. He was able to last much longer and put a much better pace on.
Yep, absolutely, and I completely admit that I picked against Ferreira to win that fight, and guess what? I am not going to pick against that guy again unless he's fighting some very formidable opponent.
He's 16-2 in the lightweight division now, right?
Yeah, he's got 2 losses.
This is why lightweight is so crazy, because guys like that aren't even on the radar.
Well, he needs to get on the radar ASAP, because that was extremely impressive.
Yeah, he's been impressive lately.
Yep. Okay, so
Andrea Lee versus JoJo. What'd you think of this fight?
Well, I think I lost a lot of money on it. That's what I think. I had KGB Lee winning this, and I was honestly pretty darn confident she would win. And then Calderwood came out, and it was like a fighter that I didn't recognize. Because remember, I saw Calderwood live at UFC 238 against Chukagian.
Can I ask one thing, though? Yeah. Were you underwhelmed by both of their performances, or was that just me? Maybe they were victims of the 120-degree heat, but...
I mean, it was a very close fight, so I can see why you would be underwhelmed, but I can't honestly say I was underwhelmed with JoJo. Didn't she get a knockdown from that elbow against KGB? I think she got a knockdown.
Yeah.
But...
I guess what I'm getting at is, was there anything that you saw from JoJo that would inspire confidence for a title fight?
No. I mean, look, none of the current 125 girls are beating Valentina. I mean...
Which brings me to a little segue. It's like everyone's hating on the, is it Zhang Weili fight? But who is Valentina going to fight that even has anyone tuning in?
Yeah, well, again, that's a listener question.
Oh, okay, we'll get to that.
So we'll get to that one. But listen, all credit to Joanne Calderwood. I really, really like her, so I felt bad.
So do I.
I felt bad picking against her, but I just thought that, KGB Lee I thought she was a very, very different level. I was proven wrong, but Calderwood is funny, isn't she? You never know which Calderwood is going to show up to a fight.
I actually think she's she's a little inconsistent that way style-wise, but, I mean, she's a very, seasoned vet in combat sports, even before MMA, so, she's just very professional, with the way she fights.
Yep.
I know she's had some weight-cutting problems in the past and, a little bit of mixed results, but definitely a very talented fighter. I'm just not sure that great matchup for Valentina.
Absolutely. And then this is one of the last few fights I want to discuss, but it's the next one. Featherweight, Zubaira. Is it Tukagov? Ooh, I'm messing that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Zubaira. Can we just call him Zubaira?
Yes,
Zubaira has a split draw against...
And is Zubaira the guy who punched Conor in the back of the head when he jumped the cage, correct?
Pretty sure. Okay.
And he broke his hand and he's been out, and Khabib wouldn't fight until Zubaira was reinstated, and this was his first fight back?
I am 98% sure that's accurate.
Okay, I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed of who Zubaira is, and this is the guy that Artem hates and wants to fight more than anything.
Right. And you know what?
I'd like to see that.
I want to see that. Break out the popcorn. I mean, Artem's going to give him a hard time.
I was surprised that Zubaira got a draw there. I had him winning that. But it was pretty lackluster performance.
Were you impressed? I was going to say, I was
in the
so
first
underwhelmed.
Round, I was impressed on the feet when I think it was the first round, he dropped him, and then he was really kind of seemed like he almost blew his load trying to finish him up there against the cage, throwing a bunch of little short shots for probably 10 or 15 seconds. After that, I think they were more a victim of the heat than anything. But yeah, it wasn't the most impressive, but the first round, he didn't look bad at all.
Okay, that's a kinder take than I had. But maybe it's because I was expecting a lot. I'm thinking this is Khabib's boy. He's going to go and really run the house here. And he obviously didn't get close to doing that.
Well, what that judging showed me is that they kept it honest all night. I was surprised. It was great judging, I felt like.
Yeah.
But then again, I guess the Barboza-Felder fight had some controversy.
Barboza-Felder, I didn't like that judging call, but...
Well, the 30-27s were wild, but the other judge scored a 29-28 Felder, and that's the way I scored it.
Yep, absolutely. And then really, really quickly, this was the last one I want to talk about, but let me know if there's another... Bilal, remember the name Mohammed, Chicago represent. I love Bilal. Defeats Takashi Sato via submission, rear naked choke. 1 minute 55 seconds in the third round. What'd you think of remember the name?
I think it was just more of the same, showing his evolution. He's a tough fighter, comes from a good gym, pushes the pace, good grappler. I think that's kind of what we expected. I didn't expect the submission, but I definitely expected him to have a favorable matchup there.
Absolutely. And last question on the card for me was the opening fight, Don Madge versus Faris Siam. Was that the weakest win of all time? The grappling was so ugly, I can't.
Can I be honest with you? I missed that fight. I don't even think I woke up.
Wow, you are lucky. Consider yourself very lucky. That was some of the ugliest grappling I've ever seen in my entire life.
If you notice my timeline, I didn't jump into like the third fight of the day.
Okay, well, I appreciate the honesty, but no need to go back and watch that one.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so are we ready to move on to Bellator 226?
Let's do it. Let's cover that exciting main event.
All right. The exciting...
Question. I got a question for you. Was it an eye poke or was it a nose dig?
I was just about to ask you that. Okay, listen. Let me be very clear. I saw the fight. Full disclosure, guys. I saw Bellator 226. I saw on Sunday. Okay? I didn't see it live. I saw that fight twice. Okay? Twice. I mean, it's easy. It was one round. That was not an eye poke. There's no way it was an eye poke. There is zero chance it was an eye poke. I've seen multiple camera angles a million times. It hit his nose.
So you're saying Congo won it out of that fight?
100%. He thought, because you know why? Congo thought he'd get a rematch.
Well, not only that, but because the first left hand that Bader threw hit him right on the chin and kind of got him wobbly. Didn't like it. As soon as he went to the ground, he was getting worn out. He had got mounted. He just caught a heavy uppercut. He absolutely was looking for a way out.
Oh, yeah. I just...
And there's no way he's getting a rematch anytime soon.
Oh, well, Scott Coker's already all but confirmed that. I just can't believe that it even got that far. That
I can't believe that you would work your entire life to fight for a major promotional championship at the age of 40, whatever Congo is, and then let the competition go like that. That's
Absolutely.
The antithesis of being a champion. This is your shot. You see guys like Dustin Poirier who are sobbing when their shot is squandered. This guy gave his shot away. Period.
Absolutely. And anybody listening, if you guys disagree with me, you can send me a DM with any evidence you have that this was an eye poke. I've seen every camera angle, and I'm not saying there's a 1% chance. I'm saying there was a 0% chance it was an eye poke.
Bizarre. I don't know. I don't like going hard at fighters, but yeah, that sucked for Bader because obviously Bader gets a bad rap. He's boring, blah, 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 and now this. It's like, Bader's a good fighter. He was going to win that fight. It sucks that it's a no contest. He should have the victory and a title defense.
Yep. Okay. Real quick, flying through this. Derek Campos defeats Daniel Strauss via unanimous decision. I thought Strauss did not look good.
Yeah, this was painful to watch for anyone who's familiar with Daniel Strauss's career. Obviously his circumstances are incredibly tough. So, yeah, Campos looked good, though. I felt like he was in control the whole time. When he got top position, he was obviously the stronger grappler in those exchanges. So, good win. I thought the Bellator featherweight tournament was lights out all night. So, we can just segue into the next one if you want.
Boric defeating Pat Curran via TKO punches at the end of round 2, literally at the 5-minute mark of round 2. Boric is a beast. I thought he looked great.
Boric is that sleeper star prospect over there. One to watch for sure. This is the second guy he's caught with that switch flying knee. Very interesting prospect. I think he's one of the top unheralded prospects over there.
Absolutely. Moving on, we've got Pedro Carvalho defeated Sam Sicilia by submission face crank at 1 minute 56 seconds of round 2. I was impressed with Carvalho. Like you said, it was fireworks all night for the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I was really giving Sam Sicilia the benefit of the doubt with my prediction last week, but
I wasn't gonna brag, but now you let me brag. I got it right.
Well,
you got it right.
I mean, Sam Sicilia, goodness. Anyways.
No, continue. What were you saying?
I would say he looked bad again rather than your boy looked real good. So.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, you got this one right. I got this one wrong. Emmanuel Sanchez defeats Tywin Claxton by triangle choke at 4 minutes and 11 seconds.
And I think yeah, exactly. This guy has a little Tony Ferg, a little Diego Sanchez. I love this fighter over there. Very tough guy.
Yeah, truth is, when you said that he was like Diego Sanchez, I'd only seen a few highlights, and I think I'd seen one fight of his before this. But I stand corrected. This guy's for real.
Yeah, he's very good.
And then last fight, and this is not part of the featherweight tournament, guys. I believe this is like for an emergency if someone falls out. But Daniel Carey defeated Gaston Bolanos by submission guillotine choke at 4 minutes 15 seconds of round 1. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Just a name upset. Good way to start the card. Some excitement, a little unpredictability. Other than that, I didn't have many thoughts on it.
Yeah, but let me just end with this. I love what Bellator's doing with all these Grand Prix tournaments. I really do. I just think it's so much fun.
Well, I like it when they're all...
All right, moving on to UFC Vancouver Preview and picks. So this has got quite the main event. Justin Gaethje versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And I want to know, Fight Geek, who you got?
Wow, gosh, this fight has everything. It's one of those fan favorite fights, but I mean, it's Tuesday. I don't know who I got. Okay, you're putting me on the spot here. Justin Gaethje gets hit about 9 to 10 strikes, per minute. Donald Cerrone is an incredibly gifted striker. That's his strength. But Justin Gaethje is an incredible pressure fighter, and Donald Cerrone doesn't do very well with pressure fighters. So there's like an incredible catch-22 in this fight that's just really hard to decipher. But I think a little bit of bias is coming into my pick. I'm going to go with the pressure fighter and the younger fighter, Justin Gaethje, to break Donald Cerrone via TKO in the 4th round.
Ooh, okay, all right, yeah. I was surprised
on Tuesday night, for the record.
Yeah. Okay. I've been seeing a lot of people pick Cowboy. I think it's a little bit of wishful thinking. All respect to Cowboy and his, daddy Cowboy at 155 is obviously a new beast. But, Justin Gaethje is also a new beast recently. He has become more patient. He has become a smarter fighter. He has shown that he's actually willing to implement strategy that he didn't used to do when he first came to the UFC. I have Gaethje winning via TKO early in the 3rd round.
Really? Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we all love Cowboy. I wish both of these guys could win. I really don't want to see either of these guys lose, but, Cowboy could come in there and get comfortable and land a bunch of shots and do what he did to, Al Iaquinta, I just don't see that happening. I think Gaethje's pressure will break Cerrone, unfortunately. So, yeah, incredibly tough fight. Will be incredible action no matter what. That is guaranteed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then moving on, this is the co-main event. Light heavyweight, Glover Teixeira versus Nikita Krylov. This is a really hard fight. It was very hard for me to pick. Do you mind if I start off here?
Go ahead.
Okay, so, I've been jumping back and forth. I'm not going to lie. I started off picking Krylov to win this. But I have switched my pick formally to Glover. I think that Glover is going to get it done. I know that Nikita's coming off that he got that fight back from OSP, was able to get the submission against OSP the second time. I just think that Glover he's on a nice little streak right now, and I think he's the bigger man. He's going to implement that wrestling and get it done.
What's the age difference?
Good question. I think it's significant.
I thought you were already looking at it. I think it's like 8 years.
I mean, Glover's older than the wizard from Lord of the Rings. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nikita Krylov here. I think he has still some untapped potential. I don't think we've seen his best performance in the UFC at all. With that said, Glover Teixeira is an old warhorse. I expect the wheels to fall off at some point. And the more he's getting matched up with these younger fighters, these versatile fighters, I just can't see it ending well. But he could shock me. But I'm taking Nikita Krylov via unanimous decision.
All right. I am taking Glover Teixeira via third round submission, baby.
Very interesting.
All right. Moving on, the return of Duffy. Todd Duffy is returning after what feels like a million years versus Jeff Hughes. Who you got?
Yeah, hard to really make an educated guess about Duffy when he's been out, and kind of the level of competition that Hughes has had. But with that being said, I'm just going to go with Duffy by first round knockout just because that's what I'm hoping for, and it's definitely possible.
Okay, all right. I'm going to actually take Jeff Hughes here. And, I don't have a ton to go on. I really, really think that I don't like Duffy's chances here. I think
all right. Let's
move on. Let's move on. Okay, this is really the last fight that I thought I needed to cover here was Uriah Hall versus Antonio Carlos Jr., a.k.a. Shoeface. A very nice nickname for a very handsome guy. And I think that Shoeface wipes the floor with Uriah Hall. Am I being too cruel to Uriah Hall?
Not at all. I'm taking Shoeface by... As soon as he gets it to the ground, I have a feeling he's going to submit Uriah Hall. I just don't know if it's going to be in the first or second. I say it'll be... Uriah Hall has a tendency to get hit early. So I'm going to say Shoeface stuns him in the first and submits him.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. I think it's... actually, you know what? I'm going to say second round submission. I'm going to be really, really risky here. I'm going to say second round submission. But yeah.
Interesting.
I see.
Do you have the fight card pulled up in front of you?
I do, yep.
Okay, so Jim Crute, I forgot. Who's he fighting?
Misha Cirkunov.
Okay, so that's an interesting fight. Jim Crute is an up-and-coming 205er who's looked amazing. Misha Cirkunov's kind of like a fringe top 8 to 6 guy. So this will be an interesting matchup. You got any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, not a whole ton, to be honest. I do think that Crute's going to get it done, but that has more to do with what I've seen from Cirkunov, frankly. I don't think that Misha Cirkunov is all that. I think Jimmy Crute's going to get this one done. But I can't say how, and if I'm forced to choose, I'm going to say unanimous decision.
Okay. Another fight I want to call out is the Marvin Vettori fight. Sorry, refresh my memory who he's fighting against. I just got my winners over here.
I believe he's fighting Andrew Dirty Sanchez.
Yes, I like this fight. Similar guys. I think Vettori's clearly better. Sanchez usually fights great for like 10 minutes and then gasses horribly in the third round. So I'm
Yeah.
expecting Vettori to finish Sanchez in the third round.
Oh, interesting, because I remember last time Marvin Vettori fought and he won. We were discussing, I was saying that Vettori can't finish fights and I didn't know why. So you're saying he's going to get it done here.
Yeah, I don't know if that's more of a function of him being a finisher or that Andrew Sanchez has a tendency to fade horribly.
Yeah, it's true. And, Andrew Sanchez is not bad. I will never,
No,
ever...
his skills are very good. I was very high on him coming off The Ultimate Fighter, but he continually gasses.
I was going to say, I'll never forget him versus Lionheart Smith. He was dominating that fight. And again, this was when Smith was a middleweight. Now he was a lesser caliber fighter. But still, Sanchez was dominating him for 12 or 13 minutes. And then Lionheart just Lionhearted.
He just ran out of gas. He almost can't even defend himself when he gets so tired like that. It's crazy for a guy like that skilled to have that kind of hole. So
yeah.
Unless he's filled that hole, I expect Marvin Vettori to exploit it because he's gone 3 hard rounds with Israel Adesanya before. So Vettori's very hard to get out of there. Let's put it that way.
Yep. Totally agree. Any other fights you needed to cover on this card, or are we ready to move on?
I always like to call out Luis Smolka. Luis Smolka's an interesting fighter. He's kind of been up and down. He's lanky, but he is talented. I'm taking him in his matchup.
As am I. I'm taking Brad Katona over Hunter Azor.
Yep, I'm taking Brad Katona and Chaz Skelly.
I am also taking Chaz Skelly over Jordan Griffin. Okay. So with that, guys, that wraps up the preview and picks. So we're going to take a quick break and be right back. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. All right, guys, we are back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 38. This is Phil the MMA Dude here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek, and it is now time for my favorite section, the Listener Questions! Ooh, applause! I've never gotten applause before.
Well, you're working so hard on the listener questions, I feel like I got to add, my little personality to it, so I'll clap from now on.
Oh, all right. Okay, so I got one pulled up here. This is from a good friend of the program, Mr. Tittlewinks, Kenneth Robert. He says, with Paul Felder having success as a commentator for the UFC and the 155 division always being a logjam at the top, him already hinting around about this being close to the end of his MMA career, how many more fights do you think he has left before he retires?
Well, I guess that depends on the outcome of those fights.
Yeah.
I would say 3 to 5 is very safe.
Oh, okay. So you think he could? Okay, so that's kind of a lot. 5 more fights.
Well, 3 fights. If he wins all 3 of them, he's not going to retire on like a 5-fight winning streak. He's going to be up near like the number 4 lightweight in the world if he wins 2 more fights, 3 more fights.
Yeah, so I was looking at the rankings. He just today he jumped up to number 7. So he's behind. He's now with all the big dogs, really. I mean, Al, Justin Gaethje, and Cerrone are the ones directly in front of him. So I feel like
Al's booked versus Hooker, right?
Yes, that's okay. The co-main of 243.
So the winner of that fight, I think Felder's looking for a bigger name. I just don't know how he's going to get a bigger name with the top so jammed up.
What about the loser of Gaethje Cowboy?
Why should he have to take a loser? He just won.
Did he? No, I'm just...
in the books, it's a win.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I guarantee you he flew home feeling like he won, and Barbosa flew home feeling like he lost.
No, look, of course Felder won. I mean, of course he did. I think that Felder could find himself in a very precarious situation where, I mean, you just nailed it, where no one above him is really interested, and he won't want to fight below, and I think he's kind of
Well,
stuck.
what I'm thinking is one of these fighters, probably a losing fighter, but it would have to be a much higher profile fighter than like the loser of Al versus Hooker. Why would he take, or even the winner of Al versus Hooker is not even really like going to do much for a Paul Felder. So unless you get someone like Dustin Poirier who thinks, Felder's like a solid like bounce back fight or something, he's not going to pull a big name. He's not pulling Conor, he's not pulling Cowboy or Gate. Maybe.
No, he could. Why is he not pulling Cowboy or Gaethje?
I just don't see him being able to pull the winner of that fight. The winner of that fight is going to be looking probably at Conor if Conor doesn't want Poirier.
Conor doesn't want anyone. He just wants money so he can fight for the belt and get
Conor
whooped
just
again.
wants to make sure that we can have no clarity in the best division of all time.
Yeah, it is. He has had quite a downfall, but we don't need to talk about that. Yeah, I think that Felder's in a tough position, but I've got to choose who is he going to fight. If I had to choose, I would say that he's. Oh man, it is tough. It is tough looking at this.
You got to think. Everybody wants to punch up in their career. Who in the top 6 feels like fighting Paul Felder is going to do anything for them?
No one.
Be a tough fight.
You know who he should fight? Gregor Gillespie.
That'd be a great test for Gregor, but again, why would Felder, who's stating that he wants, a chance at the big guys, or he's going to go into commentating, fight a killer who's undefeated?
I mean, Felder can state whatever he wants. I don't think people are going to start crying about it. Oh no, he's going to go to commentating. We have to give him a fight. Oh God. So, I don't know.
That may be true. That's the problem, is he doesn't have a lot of drawing power. I think Paul Felder's a very good fighter. I like Paul Felder quite a bit. He's just in a tough spot looking at those top 5. They're just so hard to move.
Yeah, and I love Paul Felder as a commentator. I love Paul Felder as a person, and I like Paul Felder as a fighter, but I'm just going to say it, okay? I think Paul Felder gets by on a lot of heart, a lot more than skill.
He's a good striker.
Yeah, but he gets struck a lot, too.
This is true.
He's got a lot of heart. But anyways, okay.
So what's next for your boy Edson Barbosa?
Oh, gosh.
Is that a listener question, too? I doubt anyone's...
No, it's not. It's not.
Wondering what's next for Edson. That's what I do.
I don't know. I mean, I think that Gregor is probably eyeing him closely because, we all know that Gregor loves to call out people that just lost. That's Gregor's thing.
That was the weirdest call out for
when
the
he
record.
called out.
Didn't like it at all.
Pettis.
But wouldn't someone like Barbosa, Pettis, make way more sense than Pettis fighting a Gregor Gillespie? 2 older guys who are striking dynamos, who are not going to be in title contention. I see that kind of fight for him. Barbosa is going to be fighting that top 10 gatekeeper role, hopefully in exciting matchups. I don't really see him challenging anymore for the top 5 anyways.
Yeah, I just can't get over Gregor calling out Pettis after that
Coming
loss.
off a loss.
It was like Gregor wanted to say, hey everyone, I know you guys are really high on me. I just want you to know that I do not believe in myself. And I'm going nowhere. And I want everyone to know that.
But the weird part is why would you call out someone whose stock is down?
Because you're scared and don't believe in yourself.
I don't know. I don't think he's scared. I just don't think...
Well, he just doesn't believe in himself. Let me reword
They may not understand how the game works. You don't call out guys coming off losses. It makes no sense, especially guys who were ousted from your division because they were losing their competitiveness in that division.
And can I be honest? You know how he filmed that video with the Wheaties box? This is the truth.
We are being so cynical tonight. Let's keep it moving.
Wait, no, I'm just going to say... I did not see the whole call out because it was too cringy. It was too much. It was too uncomfortable. I had to turn it off.
Right. We're done with this.
We're done with Gregor. Sorry, we pissed off all the Gregor fans.
I've got one from Pat Tobin. Actually, 2. We'll run through them. UFC 243 has 60K seat stadium to sell out. If either Rob or Izzy falls out injured within 2 weeks of the fight, what would be the main event, given Costa has already said he won't be on weight? and no other 85-pounder on the card. In addition, our UFC playing with fire with more and more top-heavy cards on pay-per-view. Surely it's only a matter of time before they get burnt, right? Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. You want to go?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, yes, they're playing with fire. They already got burnt. People are acting like UFC 234 didn't happen.
Well, not only that, but Rob has a very sketchy track record of making it to his main events, and I'm sure that's what you're talking about. I'm not as sharp off the top with the cards as you are.
Okay, yeah, look, Whitaker knows very well that if he doesn't make it to the octagon, he's getting stripped.
He will have to vacate.
Yes. So the only way that Whitaker pulls out of this fight is if he's on death's door. But I guess if Izzy... Okay, so to answer the question, though, what do they do if one of them pulls out? The short answer is they're screwed. And, I'm sure Dan Hooker and Al Iaquinta will become the main event. Probably. It'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, ouch. I think they would still be a great card, but, yeah, it's going to be tough. Let's just all cross our fingers and hope that the MMA gods want to see those two guys figure out who the best is.
Yup, absolutely. Okay, so this question is from Jay Brookley, that's at Cradle in Flames. He said, after Poirier's loss to Khabib, Poirier moved down 5 spots on the pound-for-pound rankings, and Conor moved up 2 spots. On a scale of Lawler to Covington, just how lame are the rankings?
Oh, my God. The rankings are... Oh, man, I don't even know. They're literally pointless. I keep telling this. They're about as credible as a Bleacher Report MMA writer. Let's just put it that way. It's just, guys, it's horrible. I don't understand them, It's a marketing tool they control in order to disperse information, so you think Conor still has value when he really doesn't have any. You know what I mean? He's obviously not the 11th best pound-for-pound fighter. He's not even in the top 20 anymore, correct?
Yes, it's correct, but pound for pound is a make-believe worthless nothingness, and it needs to be just removed. True. Just get rid of pound for pound. You know what, guys? Pound for pound isn't real. It's not real. It's make-believe. Get rid of it.
What if, I want to segue here, and I don't think this is a question, but if pound for pound was real, which I love pound for pound lists, but I don't like them whenever there's no reasoning behind it. There's no reason why Conor McGregor would be in front of any of those people. Right now, today, maybe 2.5 years ago, sure, there's a case. But today, would you say that Khabib has passed John Jones as the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter, even though you're...
No, I mean, no, let's look at this. Let's honestly look at this, objectively here. Khabib is finishing his opponents. Jones is being taken to his limit by middleweights. Santos, he won by split decision. Santos is essentially a middleweight, took him to his absolute limit, and Khabib is manhandling the best of the best division. John Jones is in the worst and shallowest division, and let's not forget, Jones is a drug cheat. So, of course, Khabib should be in front of Jones. It's insulting to insinuate anything else is insulting.
And then would you say that Triple C is the number 2 pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now today? Sorry, I just want to have this short discussion.
Now you're trying to get people mad at me here. I know the Triple C isn't everyone's favorite. Look, yes.
The resume is there.
The answer is absolutely yes. Sorry, but bend the knee to Triple C. Uh-oh, I just lost 10 people.
How dare you?
How dare I? I'm sorry.
All right. Well, enough segue. Let's go back to Mr. B. He says, Islam just won last weekend at UFC 242. If you had to make this fight next, who would it be against? I have a clear answer. I want him to fight the Bronx, Charles Oliveira. I like that fight. Or an Anthony Hernandez type. I don't know if either of them are booked, but I like both of those fights for him.
You mean Alexander Hernandez?
Yes,
oh,
exactly.
Yeah. I don't really dislike either of those, but the truth is, Edson Barboza would be perfect in my opinion. There's a real test. I feel like Islam has been, if I'm being totally honest, I think he's been treated a little bit like a baby. He's been babied. He's somehow ranked 14. I don't know that he's beaten any ranked opponents to get that.
Who's that? Sorry.
So, huh?
Who are you talking about? Islam?
Islam. He's ranked 14. He's beaten 0 ranked opponents to get to that. He beats a bunch of unranked opponents in decisions, and they go, oh, 14. That's nice. That's a nice little story. Have him fight a real fighter, like Edson Barboza. Like Edson Barboza.
Edson Barboza. Okay, that's very interesting. You want to make Edson wrestle like that? Why would Edson want to do that at this point of his career?
Because I want to see if Islam is for real, and everyone keeps shouting at me that Islam is I can't tell you how many people tweeted at me, Islam's a future champ. How could you say that? He's a future champ. And you know what? Maybe he is. I think those people are totally off on that, but let's see.
All right, let's keep it moving. Fighting with Myself podcast asks, what is your favorite knockout of all time? And this is such a tough question. Do you have one? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, it's really tough because the first two that came to my mind were obviously just from this year, and I was being biased with the Douglas Lima KOing MVP, and then obviously Masvidal, Askren. I mean that was
yeah,
crazy.
That's for sure.
Okay. But no, wait, that's too boring. That's not my answer. My answer is Robbie Lawler stopping Rory in their rematch at UFC 189.
That's a TKO. That's not a knockout.
Oh my gosh, bro. You want to have the TKO KO talk? That is such
if that's your choice, that's your choice. But
in terms of drama and dramatic stops where someone just is stopped. Yeah, dude, you want to talk about KOs versus TKOs?
Yeah, I'll tell you about drama because my number one knockout of all time, and I don't know if it'll ever change, even if I see the most amazing knockouts ever, will be Holly Holm feeding that head kick to Ronda Rousey. You want to talk about drama? I don't know where you were that night, but the bar I was in was packed shoulder to shoulder, and it was like, it was unbelievable atmosphere. And to this day, I mean, that head kick changed women's MMA history. Ronda was never the same again. She was a phenom, a dynamo, a champion, one of the biggest stars we had ever seen, and all of that was shattered with one head kick. So it's going to take an enormous knockout to ever overshadow that Holly Holm knockout, in my opinion. For aesthetic purposes, Yair with that back elbow at the final second is just truly unbelievable.
Oh gosh, you would pick an accidental whatever. Okay, no, sorry, Yair was practicing that. He was practicing it. For sure.
But no, I'm going to say Holly Holm knocking out Ronda Rousey. To me, it would take, that would be like Conor knocking out Khabib. That would be like one of the type of things that it would take to succumb that fight for me.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's a good pick. Very fair. Okay, moving on to Shanatera. And first of all, shout out to Shanatera. Thank you for sending us so many questions. We love it. We cannot answer them all, but we're going to try to answer a few for sure. They were great questions, all of them. He says, hypothetically, if you could choose a fighter from the Pioneer era and one that's currently active to match up, both in their prime, who would you want to see fight? You want me to go or you?
I'll go. Let's say George St. Pierre versus Frank Shamrock. Or is Frank Shamrock, I've always wondered how he would do versus the modern guys because in his prime he was so dominant. So something like that.
Okay, ready? I've got a weird one here. And I know that it doesn't make 100% weight sense, but they're close enough. Royce Gracie versus Ryan Hall.
That's interesting.
Exactly. I would just want to see. It's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's my answer. Okay, next question. I'm just reading them out here. Is from Giggsy, G18. Love Giggsy. Who would you say is the BMF, baddest motherfucker, of the UFC? And I think the answer is pretty clearly Nate Diaz, right? And now he's defending his belt against Jorge.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, who do you think is then?
Well, the guy who just had an elite fighter in tears after the fight because he fell short, I think Khabib's the bad dude, man. He's lost one round in 28 fights. The guy shatters dreams. Guys come in with a game plan and they can do nothing. I mean, I don't know what you call bad, but the guy who's stoic, the guy who just puts in work and is unbeatable, that's the baddest dude to me.
Okay, I mean, I guess it all depends on how you define that
But I
title.
get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's fair as well. I mean, I can't really argue with that. So
I mean, I couldn't be more impressed with Khabib. It's what's hard. It's not hard. It's very hard to become a champion, but you know what's harder is to keep doing it over and over and finding the motivation to be great and to be sharp and to take on all challengers and hungry challengers. I mean, taking on a Dustin Poirier and turning him back, that's not a small feat. That's incredibly impressive.
not just yeah.
I mean, you got to be a bad dude just to turn back bad dudes and make them cry and go home sad because they can't beat you, because they can't get to you. You know, I just saw a picture of Khabib. The guy hasn't had a scratch on his face in like 12 UFC fights. It's truly unbelievable. It does not even look like he's been in combat.
Yeah, I agree. He's a true animal, so I can't really.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. I can't really disagree with that. Okay, so this is another one from Shanna Terra. Who's going to get the first UFC cartwheel kick KO? I'm saying Yair Rodriguez, baby.
That was the easy one for me. Cartwheel kick, you know.
You agree?
Yeah, I think him or someone like Wonder Boy is a candidate for something like that.
Oh, yeah. Very true. Very true. And we should point out Wonder Boy versus Vicente Luque just got made for UFC 244.
I love that fight.
I highly favor Wonder Boy in that because I don't think Luque beat Mike Perry.
It's a very crossroads fight with the guy who's ascending and another guy who's trying to hold serve, you know?
Yep. Very well said. And then last one from Shanna Terra, at least I think. And this was a great one. Even if Gaethje wins against Cowboy and another in spectacular fashion, do you think he'll ever actually get a title shot?
If he stops Cowboy and then stops whoever his next opponent would be, he will get a title shot, in my opinion.
Totally agree. He's two wins away.
Well, and he's too exciting. So if he's on a 2-fight winning streak now, a 2 knockout streak. It was Vic and then Barbosa.
Yeah.
So if he puts together 4 fights where he's knocking out names, he will have the case he needs. He's arguably the most exciting fighter in the UFC. So it's not a hard sell. Not only that, he's ornery. He likes to talk crap. So that helps him in a fight build. So, yeah, should be good.
Absolutely agree. Do you have a question lined up, or should I go?
Yeah, I thought I had one here from AK.
AK, what up?
He says, with Jan being signed to fight, is Reyes the only option for Jones's big fight announcement coming soon, or is there a chance we actually get DC down at light heavyweight? Lots to uncover there. One, I'm going to jump in here. Jan versus Jacare. Ugh, who wants that? Anybody want that? Raise your hand.
I mean, not me. It's headlining UFC Brazil for some reason.
So have all the 185 kind of guys who have washed out title contention just decided they're going to put on 20 pounds and take their best chance at making a run at Jones?
Yeah, no, and the reason is it's because they have no respect for Anthony Smith or Thiago Santos. And it's like, guys, sorry, but Smith and Santos are way better.
And I don't think Reyes is a big fight, even if he beats Weidman. I'm not like clamoring to see Jones versus Reyes. It's not something. I mean, I'll watch it. It's interesting, but it's not like you can't. I don't feel like that's a headliner.
I mean, you know what I think of Dominic Reyes. We don't have to talk about that.
That'd be your favorite main event of all time.
Oh yeah, the absolute favorite. But it is interesting because Jones keeps tweeting out very big fight announcement coming soon. And part of me is starting to panic, frankly, that he has convinced 41-year-old Daniel Cormier to starve himself down at 205 so he can, win an easy fight a third time. Because that's the kind of guy John is, let's be honest.
But why would DC do that right now?
What do you mean? Because remember, DC was saying, it would be unfair at heavyweight. Obviously, Jones wouldn't have a chance. As Jones has said, he wouldn't win. And he feels he has to right the wrong at 205. And I'm very concerned
Well,
right
what
now.
What is he going to do? Isn't he going to right the wrong with him just getting stopped a couple of weeks ago?
He
doesn't worry about that wrong anymore?
All I know is that...
I think he's got a lot better chance of stopping that wrong.
John Jones loves nothing more than an old... depleted
we don't
fighter
even know that that's
fight.
the announcement yet. You're just...
Well, who do you think John's fighting then?
I'm not sure, but DC3, after DC just got stopped by Stipe, is that still that... are we clamoring for that fight? I'm not sure that I am.
Let me come out and say something. I've seen a ton of John Jones fans saying everyone's going to be so surprised when they announce Jones versus Stipe Miocic. And let me just say something. Seriously. If they announce that fight, I'm going to come on air and say, I was wrong about John. He's a risk taker. He's got some guts. But you know what? I ain't too worried about having to say that. Because I know John.
Maybe it'll be Yoel Romero versus John Jones. It's more likely to be that.
I know John. And I know John ain't taking no fight with Stipe. So stop dreaming about it, guys. Jones ain't fighting Stipe.
We got too many questions to get hung up here. All right, one from... Cyrus King. I don't think you've asked his yet.
Oh. Isn't it Cyrus? Or is it
Cyrus?
Cyrus, what up?
Not sure anyone's asked this yet, but if you had to guess, what would a fight between the Bullet and Zhang look like? Who do you think wins? Well, I think that Valentina would counter-strike her and outpoint her.
You think you think that Zhang would she'd get to a decision?
Yeah. I think she's technically sound enough on the feet. I don't think she's going to run into a head kick like Jessica Ai. So I think she would be very technical. Obviously, Valentina has a huge kickboxing reputation, or whatever. I would say that I would think that it'd be very technical striking, probably not as much action as you'd expect, and Valentina will win with a very crisp counter-striking attack.
Yeah, it's like, I just find it interesting because if I'm just being honest here, before they announced Zhang Weili versus Andrade, 80% of MMA fans didn't know who she was. That's just the truth. Now she wins one fight, and it's like she's God. She cannot be defeated. And people have got to
very good, though.
People have got to calm down. They've got to calm down with her. She's got to defend that belt.
I agree. She has a lot of names in that division. Rose, winner of Joanna Michelle. There's a lot of interesting fights for her.
But she's saying she's not doing. Have you heard her? She's not. She said she's not defending. She's not going to do it. But,
we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
All right, got one from MMA Assault.
Oh yeah, what up?
He says, supposing for a minute Khabib defends his title against Tony and beats him in a much similar fashion as previous fights. What more, if any, do you think he would have to do to be considered the GOAT, or is he at this stage already?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that
I'm just going to step in. If he beats Tony, and then GSP comes out of retirement and he beats an older GSP, he will have a claim to the greatest UFC fighter of all time. I
agree there. But you said GSP has to come out of retirement. He's got to beat him. So right. I agree with that.
He would have to retire 30-0, beating Tony and GSP to legitimately be in that top conversation, because just too much of his resume is just, in the last 3 years, he's been fighting elite guys, but there's still the Daryl Horchers and Abel Trujillos and those kind of fighters on his resume. No disrespect to them, but Khabib hasn't fought, as long at the elite level.
Yeah, and I would say that if they can't, if Khabib, fights Tony and beats Tony, and they can't make the GSP fight, the only other way that Khabib could really, I think, enter that conversation is, and I love that he defends at 155, but I do think he would have to go up to welterweight to try to get that second belt. I realize that Usman isn't interested in he's not interested in defending against anyone, let alone Khabib.
But we're talking about years from now, so or at least at least, if he takes one more fight before Ramadan and then takes it off, the earliest we could see him fighting at 170, hypothetically, would be like end of 2020, early 2021. So we have no clue who would be the 170-pound champ at that point anyway. So, like, predicting him versus Kamaru would be, almost irrelevant.
Well, hold on. Kamaru isn't fighting. Kamaru doesn't want to fight anyone, so he's not going to fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's not. I don't assume he's going to be the champion in 18 months.
Did you see his? And this is worth mentioning. Did you see Kamaru's tweet today? He said something like, "Peace out. I'm going to Africa," and then a picture of him sleeping on the plane with the belt. And I tweeted, "This is why everyone hates you." So. But I just can't believe it. I'm at a loss for words on Usman's behavior. Lost for words.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep it moving. We've got one from Uncle Yagi. Any chance they make two pay-per-views in December? Too many possible matchups to headline. Khabib, Conor, Usman, Jones, Max, Amanda. Thoughts? Go ahead.
Uncle Yagi, don't be mad at me for me dissing Usman. I know you love him. I'm sorry, bro. Okay, so on a serious note, it's a very good question, Yagi, because you're right. For the first time, like in history, it seems like there's too many title fights and not enough pay-per-views, which I can never remember.
I don't think there's any way they can make two pay-per-views in football season in December.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, I'm not super well versed on this, but it is my understanding that they announce how many pay-per-views there's going to be in the year. At the very beforehand. Yes. And the reason I remember that real quick is UFC 233 got canceled and got turned into Cejudo Dillashaw that fight night, ESPN Plus debut, right? And then they ended up creating an extra pay-per-view, which was UFC 240, to make up for it. Because obviously investors and people that own the company were saying, what the hell? You're cutting us short of a pay-per-view. We want money on our investment. I don't think the UFC adds pay-per-views.
No, they won't add one.
They're not. I think they're not going to add one.
It's scheduled in. It's part of the contract, yada, yada.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
All right, I got a good one here from Aiden. He says, who is your favorite fighter ever? And this is an impossible question, but I tried. I really put some thought into it. I'm going to give you 4 because there's 4 that I just can't let go of.
What?
Well,
you can't choose 4?
For over 20 years. I got to pick 1.
I mean, I'll give you 2. I won't give you 4.
I can't do it.
No, you got to choose 2, man.
If I had to choose 2 as a fan...
I mean, you're supposed to choose 1. I'm being nice saying 2.
Well, hasn't your favorite fighter ever changed a few times over the generations? I don't know.
Uriah Faber and Daniel Cormier?
Well, then I would say Tito and Nick Diaz if I had to pick 2.
Who are your other 2 going to be? Those are good picks.
Fedor and Bisping.
Okay. All right.
I mean, all 4 of those guys I love so much. I love their careers in every way. So...
yeah, I mean, Faber and Daniel Cormier are definitely in that solid top 2 for me. If you put a gun to my head on more, I mean, look, I've got to put Tony Ferguson. I mean, I just enjoy watching him fight so much.
He's certainly in my honorable mention.
Yeah. So yeah, those would be my 3. But love that question. And then Okay, this is from Dr. Mario Pepper. Love Dr. Mario Pepper. He shows me a lot of love. Love that guy. He says, with Usman holding out and Covington wanting more money, should the UFC make the Diaz versus Masvidal fight an interim title fight? No!
Absolutely not.
No!
Neither man is truly deserving of an interim title at this point.
I mean, I just don't want an interim floating around in this welterweight division filled with, little princesses who, are just trying to be over dramatic and not agree to fight with Colby and Usman.
Wow, right?
Yeah. So,
okay, let's keep it moving. We're almost done here. So we got one from Lit Wit. Says, do you think Volkanovski has a chance against dethroning Holloway? Does he have a chance? I think we've covered this a couple times.
Yeah.
Of course he has a chance. Is he favored? I would not favor him based on Max's last performance. He looked really good.
Yeah, I remember tweeting when it was looking like it may have been. It was looking like they may put that on the 243 card. Thank God they didn't. As a Holloway fan, I was saying that Volkanovski's a live dog. I still think he's a live dog if it's at UFC 245, which is what it's looking like. But way less so than he would have been at 243, rushing Holloway into that fight. I think Holloway is still going to get that W. I don't think he'll get a stop. I think he'll get a tight unanimous decision.
Excellent. All right, I like this one too. This is from Micah. He says, "What is a good fight to make for Kevin Lee to help him keep relevant and put him back where he belongs in contention?" And I have a great answer to this one.
Oh, I don't think you have an answer better than mine. Go ahead.
I want Bilal Muhammad.
Interesting. That's a little offensive to Kevin Lee. No offense, Bilal.
No, I mean, Kevin Lee's a name opponent. Bilal Muhammad hasn't been fighting a lot of name opponents, so it would be an opportunity for Bilal Muhammad to make his name off Kevin Lee. But I'm sure Kevin Lee would also feel that that's a winnable fight for him. That's a great fight. What are you, crazy?
Robbie Lawler or Santiago?
What has Kevin Lee done at 170 to deserve either of those fighters?
He fought RDA tough.
Who?
Rafael dos Anjos?
Robbie Lawler's a legend. You got to earn that fight a little bit.
Kevin
Lee's done nothing to earn that fight.
Do you think, okay, Robbie Lawler, you think that, would you favor Lawler over Kevin Lee today?
I wouldn't, but...
See?
I mean, I don't know. Kevin Lee has shown energy management issues, to say the least.
Well, that's for sure.
And he's been clipped by Barbosa, so you never know if Robbie could get his hands on him. I would favor the younger fighter there, but I don't think he deserves a fight with Robbie Lawler. No way. I think he deserves a fight with someone more around his area of the pack right now, and that's going to be someone like Bilal Muhammad. That's
Bilal's not even
wrestlers.
Bilal's not even ranked. That's so disrespectful.
Yeah, neither's Kevin Lee.
Yeah, Kevin Lee's like a star, dude.
He's not ranked in the division. Fight another guy who's tough and not ranked, and let's see who deserves the top 15, man.
All right.
Competition.
Lawler or Santiago, baby.
Santiago's like 27-3. You're crazy if you think he's taking a fight with some obscure Kevin Lee ranked 17th in the division.
Santiago should take whatever he's given. No one likes him.
You are hilarious. All right, I got one from Larry Larmule 61. Winner of Cowboy and Gaethje fights? ?
Winner of Cowboy Gaethje fights. I mean, I want to say McGregor, but
I'm going to say the winner of Al Hooker.
Oh. I feel like the winner of Cowboy Gaethje will want something better.
Well, what if it ends up being Gaethje wins and Al wins, and we get that grudge match coming full circle with big stakes on the line?
Yeah, that would be good. That's actually
because at that point they would be like fighting for the number 4 spot in the division, basically, and a chance to be relevant for a title shot.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. My other answer would be Cowboy Gaethje winner if Conor wusses out on rematching Poirier, which, let's be honest, he will absolutely not take that fight. Because all he does is talk. Then I think it should be Conor McGregor versus the winner of Gaethje Cowboy.
I don't think Conor wants that fight, but I agree 100%.
Well, Conor doesn't run the world anymore. He hasn't won a UFC fight since 2016.
Until he fights an unfavorable matchup that is not a title fight, Conor's running things because he's not being forced to prove his worth. He's sitting around waiting for a title shot until he's forced to fight someone dangerous who's not a title shot. He is running things because he's being protected still to this day. He's just moved up in the pound-for-pound rankings by the UFC.
Have you seen the UFC tweeted? They said, "Who's next for Khabib?" And they listed Tony and Conor.
I saw it in GSP, I believe.
And GSP. And did you see the responses?
We'll see.
The top 100 are nothing but Tony makes sense.
Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. We got a lot of these. I got one from Glitch. He says, who is going to win, Diaz or Masvidal? And we'll break this down more as it gets closer, but early I'm leaning Masvidal by decision.
I am also leaning Masvidal by decision, but it's very tough. It's very close. It's
very tough, and we'll break it down more in depth as it gets closer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else I got.
Oh, wait, I got
going
one.
on.
I got one. This is at Jokers LL. He says, if it were up to you, how would you design the baddest motherfucker belt? Let me jump in here. I wouldn't design it, guys. I'm not gonna be all dramatic about it, but making an actual belt for the BMF title is so tacky and corny. Just stop, please. Where does it end?
What are you talking about? They've made decorative belts in boxing for a long time. It's like pageantry.
So we're boxing now? Oh my gosh. We're boxing? We're boxing? Yeah. I hope we're not boxing. But no, the truth is I think that's really tacky. And then where does it end? Where does it end, Fikey? Because then they're going to say, oh, Mike Perry wants to fight for the most broken nose belt. And, oh, they want to fight for the most handsome fighter belt. I mean, where does that end? Where does it end? It doesn't end.
That's a great point. I'm with you.
Yeah. So, okay, did we just run through them?
I think we touched on them all this week.
Wow. All right. We went really fast here. Okay, so, oh, wait, really quick. From Jim Asoon. I can't believe I almost missed Jim. Jim, love you, man. Jim. What's next for Calderwood after her win on Saturday? And he even used the Ask Split Pod hashtag.
It's a tough one because didn't she already fight Shikagian? So Shikagian wins, or whoever the winner of that Shikagian fight is going to be in line for JoJo for that top contender fight, but we've already seen that. So kind of in a tough position here. I'm not quite sure who she fights next. Do you have any thoughts?
I mean, she could rematch Shikagian.
Oh, I think we're all clamoring for that to see who's the next number one contender.
Look, the truth is, JoJo should either wait or fight Shikagian again, or just fight Val. I say either get the rematch with Shikagian, fight Val, or, yeah.
That's it.
That's it, I think. There's not that many options. There
really are. You're right.
Okay, so I think with that, we've answered everything. Guys, apologies if we missed anyone, but with that, take it away, Fight Geek.
All right, guys, as usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We are at Split_podcast. That's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.